The bus rumbled down the deserted highway, its headlights casting an eerie glow on the darkening landscape. Dr. Emma Taylor sat in her seat, staring blankly at the worn upholstery as she pondered the journey that had brought her here. 20 years ago, a freak accident involving a faulty GPS system and a wrong turn had led to this very moment, standing outside the bus depot, ready to embark on what was supposed to be a routine trip home. But something felt off. The driver's eyes seemed sunken, his smile forced, as he greeted her with an unsettling familiarity. As the hours ticked by, Emma began to notice strange occurrences, books she had read years ago reappearing in her bag, conversations from past lives echoing through her mind, and a creeping sense of déjà vu that made her question whether this was truly her journey home. The bus seemed to be taking an alternate route, one that led deeper into the heart of nowhere. The driver's voice crackled over the intercom as he announced their arrival at the next stop. Emma's stomach dropped as she realized they had been driving in circles for years, and yet, somehow, this was still her journey home. The bus door creaked open, revealing a desolate landscape that seemed to stretch on forever. With a sense of dread, Emma stepped off the bus, into an eternity of waiting. She knew then that she would never leave this place, trapped in a loop of time as the world outside continued to move forward without her. The driver's voice whispered one final message, "Welcome home." The old wooden sign creaked in the wind as Dr. Emma Taylor stepped off the bus and onto the familiar streets of her hometown. It had been 20 years since she'd left, chasing a dream that would ultimately lead to heartbreak and disillusionment. Now, with her mother's passing, Emma was returning home for the first time in 2 decades. As she walked through the quiet neighborhood, memories flooded back, laughter-filled summers spent playing with friends, lazy afternoons exploring the nearby woods, and family dinners around the dinner table where love and warmth filled every corner of the room. But something felt off. The houses seemed smaller than Emma remembered, and the streets were lined with a different kind of decay, not just physical but also emotional. The farther she walked, the more lost in time it became. Every step led her further down memory lane, confronting forgotten fears and unresolved traumas that had been buried beneath years of denial and self-delusion. She began to notice strange symbols etched into the trunks of trees along the sidewalk, crude drawings of faces with hollow eyes, their mouths twisted into macabre grins. Emma felt a creeping sense of dread as she realized these were not just random graffiti but rather a map leading her deeper into the heart of madness. As night began to fall, casting long shadows across the deserted streets, Emma stumbled upon an old, abandoned house on Elm Street, the one where she'd spent countless sleepovers with friends. The windows were boarded up, and the door hung crookedly from its hinges like a skeletal hand beckoning her closer. With each step, the air grew thick with anticipation, as if something was waiting for her inside those crumbling walls. Emma hesitated at the threshold, wondering what horrors lay within, or whether she'd finally found home after all these years. The silence that followed was oppressive, heavy with secrets and unspoken terrors. And then, a faint whisper seemed to echo through the empty halls, "Welcome back." The old wooden sign creaked in the wind as it swung above the deserted road. "Welcome to Willow Creek," it read, though no one had lived there for decades. Dr. Emma Taylor stood before it, her eyes fixed on the faded letters. She had been driving for hours, and yet she still couldn't shake off the feeling of being lost. As a child, Emma's family would take long road trips to visit relatives in Willow Creek every summer. But one fateful night, when they were halfway through their journey home from that very trip, her parents' car skidded off the road into an abandoned ditch. The accident had left them with severe head injuries and spent years of therapy for Emma's own psychological trauma. Now, 20 years later, Emma found herself back in Willow Creek, but this time it was different. She wasn't on a family vacation, she was on her way home from a job interview that could change the course of her life. As she drove down the familiar road, memories began to flood her mind, memories of laughter and tears, of late-night conversations with her parents in their old car, parked by this very sign. But something felt off. The houses seemed taller than Emma remembered them, the trees more twisted. And then there was the feeling that someone was watching her from behind those windows she had once called home. As night began to fall, casting long shadows across the deserted road, Emma realized with a jolt of terror, this wasn't just any journey home, it took 20 years for her to get here. The car's headlights illuminated an endless stretch of asphalt ahead, and in that moment, Dr. Taylor knew she was trapped forever on this never-ending loop of Willow Creek. And as the darkness closed in around her, Emma screamed into the night, "Why did I come back?